Do you wanna kick it off? Or?
No, you kick it off. I can't think of anything to say.
No, okay.
Yeah, I'm passing the buck to you. You
I
can
can't,
think of anything either.
but yeah, I'll find something. I'll figure out.
Do it.
Welcome to a festive edition of the Podemup podcast. We've got 2 games in the book club this month, as the Mega Drive and SNES versions of Aladdin go head to head, and we debate which one's best. Plus, we're picking even more favourites in our 2020 Podemup Awards. Hello, welcome back to episode 28, I want to say, of Podemup. Are you feeling festive, Tibbs?
Yeah, full of festive cheer.
Full of festive
and
cheer.
Mirth.
You bring the gift of mirth.
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, yeah. Well, it's not. I say festive edition. It's not really. It's not really that Christmassy. We've got 2 games set in the desert in our book club.
Yes.
That's how festive it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Been a stinker of a year, hasn't it?
It has been a stinker of a year.
So
yeah.
Let's draw it to a close with 2 games set in the desert.
Yeah, and hopefully not a stinker of an episode.
Oh no, hopefully never
never
a stinker of an episode. Fragrant, if anything.
A fragrant episode.
Yes.
Not only have we got 2 book club games to talk about this year, we've also got the much talked about Podemup Awards 2020.
It's the only thing people are talking about on Twitter.
Absolutely.
It's constant.
It is. I can't
number
get away
one
from
trending.
it.
I know.
Yeah. So what have you been up to then in the last month?
Finished Watch Dogs.
I
was playing that last time.
Yeah.
It was alright, bit forgettable. So I played Watch Dogs 2, much better.
Oh, good.
Much better. So I finished that one.
Oh, right, okay.
And I haven't got any money to buy Watch Dogs Legion yet, so I could have taken my time a bit longer. Maybe, chewed over it a little bit, but
that's fair enough.
yeah, so that took up a fair chunk of time, to be honest, playing those. I started playing Sunset Overdrive on Xbox.
Oh, yeah. I've dabbled in this a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's been sat on my shelf for ages, and I don't know why. I just suddenly thought, I fancy giving that a go. I played it, I was getting into it, and then, because it's kind of like, they're zombies, basically, aren't they? They're like these zombie creatures come after you, shoot them with like funny guns and things, it's all good.
It's got quite an arcadey sort of gameplay style.
That's what I thought at first, and then, I don't know, half hour into the game, it switches into like a tower defense mode, where you've got there's like barriers set up, and then you have to defend a point. And I thought, okay, I'll just get this mission out of the way, because I don't enjoy that kind of game.
No, I'm not crazy about it either. Yeah.
And then the minute you finish that thing, the guy who gives you the mission, he's like, oh yeah, we'll be doing this a lot to get all your upgrades and stuff. And I was like, man, I'm just not into it. It's a shame, because the rest of it, I really like the gameplay of it. Sort of grinding on rails and jumping off things, and it's really quite cool. But then it's like, I'm just not into that. It just doesn't do anything for me.
At least he warned you about it ahead of time, rather than making you sit through mission after mission like that.
That's
and then,
true.
Yeah, so you got to give it props for that. At least he was upfront about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me. There's a game, Brutal Legend. I don't know if you ever played Brutal Legend.
No, I didn't know.
It's a Double Fine game. It's Jack Black is like the lead character in it, and he gets sucked into this. I can't remember. I think he gets sucked into an album cover, and he ends up in like some heavy metal world anyway. And like the first level is this sort of 3D third person hack and slash type thing. You beat up waves of enemies and platforming. It's really good. And that was when the demo came out. That's what they had on the demo. Fantastic, really great. When you buy the full game, that's the first mission. The rest of the game is a real-time strategy game.
That's so bad.
It's ridiculous.
That's almost like making a whole different like level of a whole different game. Stick it in a demo. They'll love this. Wait till they see what the real game's like.
Exactly. Oh dear. But yeah, so I played that. What else have I played? I've been playing Mario 35 a lot, which I kind of, we'll get on to some comments that Nintendo have made regarding their decision to take that offline in March, whenever it is. It's kind of put me off playing it anymore, but I'm addicted, so I can keep going back to it. I think that's it. I think that's been most of it.
Okay, you've been pretty busy then.
A little bit busy, yeah.
Good.
How about you?
I've got two games to talk about. They're both games from the noughties, but I've been playing more recent ports of them on more recent consoles.
Okay.
So the first one is the first Uncharted game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on the old Nathan Drake collection on PS4.
I couldn't stand it when it came out on PS3. Because it's got like screen tearing, it's just, I couldn't get into it at all.
Okay. It runs bad,
but I played it on the PS4. I eventually got into it. I really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it's smooth as butter on PS4.
Yeah.
It's good. I've only played the fourth one in the series. I mean, it's pretty similar, to be honest, but it's good fun. It's very much like an action movie in game form, isn't it? Really.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
I quite like the linearity of it compared to modern AAAs, which are all just open world stuff.
Yeah.
It's nice to just have like a nice set sequence of things to do and places to go, and
no towers to climb.
Things like that. Yeah, it's good. Having to grapple with the shooting mechanics, because in the fourth one you had an option to just auto enable shooting, which I just did, because I'm not really a big fan of like shooting people, really. Not for any ethical reason. I just don't find the gameplay that's it's just not my thing normally. But and it is kind of annoying when it just kind of sends another wave and another wave of these guys over.
The combat isn't very good in the first one anyway. It's just not. It's just that's one of the main gripes I had with the first one. And when you say like it chucks waves of enemies at you, it does so in a way that's completely incongruous with the story as well. Like there's one section where Drake finds his way into some ancient catacomb that they make a point of saying that he's the first one to discover it, no one's ever got there before, kind of thing. And there's enemies down there with like they've all set up, they've got like little lights and lamps, and they're all
they got the whole
around.
operation set up.
And it's like, well, hang on a minute, this is meant to be an untouched cavern that no one's ever been in before.
Yeah, it is a bit annoying, I'm gradually getting more and more used to it. I think I'm getting a little bit better at shooting these guys, so, it's not too bad. But I'd prefer a little bit more of a puzzle-based thing. I think I've only encountered one puzzle so far, about 60% of the way through.
Yeah.
So I think I'm looking forward to Uncharted 2, though. That's the one that people seem to rave about, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, 2, 3, 4, and even what was the other one? Lost Legacy. I enjoyed them all. Yeah, but the first one is the worst of the series. That's not to say it's bad, but it's it's obviously. It's all uphill from there in a good way.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. Yeah, it's not a very long game, so it's quite short. So it's not as if it's like a chore really, particularly. I'm enjoying it. I think every time I start to get a little bit bored of it, it'll throw like a nice sort of vehicle section in that's quite fun. That kind of thing to keep you interested. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. The other one is Twilight Princess: Legend of Zelda.
I've never played it.
No, have you played any Zelda games yet?
No, I don't think I have.
It's really something you need to get into.
I do, yeah.
I cannot say how much I love these games. I haven't played them for quite a while. I think because they're quite a commitment. They're quite long, and the last few years I've been really sort of pushing myself to play games that I haven't played before. But I've just had this hankering to get back into Zelda recently. So I thought I've already played this one twice through before, GameCube version. So I'm playing this on the Wii U.
Which one's Twilight Princess? Is that the realistic one or the little cartoony one?
It's the realistic one.
Okay.
The cartoony one's Wind Waker.
Wind Waker. Yeah.
This one came out about 2006. And do you ever have a game where you hear the sounds in it or the visuals, and it instantly takes you back to that particular time in your life when you first played it?
Yeah.
That's this game all over for me, because it's got quite a distinctive soundtrack anyway. There's a whole sort of parallel world in it, and when you go there, the sounds are very kind of distinctive in there. So it just takes me back to Christmas 2006. It was my first year at university. I just come home from for Christmas, obviously, and I just played most of the game during that Christmas period, and just hearing certain sounds in that game, there's something about it that just takes me back to that time of my life and things that were going on to me then, so it's lovely to do, and so that's why I'm playing it at this particular time. It kind of links back to that quite nicely. You look outside, you see the same sort of time of day, the quality of the sunlight, things like that. Just all these things could just evoke those memories. So I actually started. I'm picking up a game that I started when I first got this version. I think it's in 2016 it came out.
So you're continuing from...
I'm picking up where I left off, because I've played it through twice already, so I kind of know it quite well. So it's nice to just sort of pick up, play for a bit. I might not even finish it on this particular time. I might just leave it for a bit and then pick it up again, some months down the road or next year or something. But it's a lovely game. I mean, the Zeldas are just they're so sort of varied and so kind of meticulously detailed in terms of their gameplay. It's just that everything's just really well thought out, and they're just absolutely lovely games.
I don't know what it is with Zelda. It's like, I don't know, like basically any Nintendo first party game is guaranteed to be good. I don't think there's any first party Nintendo game that's objectively bad.
Not really, no.
So I know if I played it, the chances are I'd have a great time with it. But I think there's always just something about... I think it's Link. I think I just don't like the look of him. It's his pointy ears. They're a bit daft, aren't they?
A little bit, yeah.
They're a bit too pointy. And this silly little hat. I don't know. It's a completely shallow thing, but it's purely... It's just... I don't like him.
No. Oh, that's a shame.
I don't like him. But I will give it a chance. I'm going to make that one of the games we will cover next year. We'll make a point of doing a Zelda.
I was going to say, I've been debating whether to put a Zelda in, because they're much more of a commitment than what we usually do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say you necessarily have to complete it in order to talk about it, but
I was going to say,
I think you'd have to get a fair chunk of it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've only really, I've played almost all the 3D ones. I've only played one of the top-down 2D ones, and to me, Zelda, because of that, Zelda works best in 3D. That's what I know it as. So I was in two minds about whether you should play a 3D one or a 2D one, for that reason. But of course, people played 2D ones before the 3D ones came out, and they love Zelda. So it
I was going to say, it's like the whole Sonic thing, isn't it? The kids who grew up 3D Sonic think that's the best Sonic, and that's the way it should be, and people who grow up with 2D think that's the way it should be.
So it's entirely down to your perspective, but fundamentally, the gameplay is pretty much the same. Breath of the Wild is probably the most different one in terms of that, but it's still got the same stuff in it. It's just ordered much differently. So but we should do something.
We'll definitely we'll make a point of doing that, even if it's... I don't know. We'll figure it out if we need to like dedicate a longer amount of time to it. Yeah, but I would definitely like to give it a try because, like I said, I know I'll probably enjoy it when I play it. I just need to get over the aesthetic objections, I suppose.
You will very quickly, I think. Yes. And the other thing I'm enjoying just generally is the Wii U. You know, it's a lovely little console.
That's amazing.
I actually think Nintendo's own output on the Wii U, I think it's better than their own output on the Switch so far. Because in terms of the original games that came out, because the Switch stuff is mostly just Wii U
it's mostly
games,
Wii U ports, yeah,
or just direct sequels of Wii U games, and they're sort of passed off as like new games to all the people who didn't have a Wii U. But for the rest of us, it's like, well, I've already played that, you know, and it's just, I mean, for me, Mario Odyssey is really the only big Nintendo property that I've really enjoyed on the Switch so far.
Yeah, I got into ARMS for a bit, but it didn't stick. I mean, I played it it was the first game I got on the Switch, so I played it quite a bit. You know, that makes it sound bad. I was going to say when I didn't have anything else to play, but I didn't mean it like that. But I mean, I played it a lot when I first got it, but it's not a game I go back to very often.
No, it's kind of a throwaway little game, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
But the Wii U, you know, Splatoon was awesome.
Oh yeah, Splatoon's amazing. Mario Kart 8.
Mario 3D World, Yoshi's Woolly World,
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
Yeah, really good. They just go on and on. There's so many great ones that so few people got to experience at the time. And
the I don't know if it was the first time it was released. Earthbound was on the Virtual Console.
Yeah.
And certainly it was the first release of the original Earthbound, the NES version, the English translation that they did was never released. It got its first official release on the Wii U Virtual Console.
Yeah, there's a lot of other games in that series that never saw the light of day here, aren't there? Yeah.
Yeah, well, the big one is Mother 3, which everyone's been clamouring to get translated and released, but I don't think it ever will. I think Nintendo were well aware of the fan translation to that, and it's been up for years, and Nintendo have never taken it down. You know, and you know what Nintendo's reputation is for fan projects. This is one has just survived, and nothing's been done with it. So I think it's kind of an unspoken agreement between Nintendo and the fans of that series that there's a translation there. You know,
so we don't have to do it, basically.
Yeah, we're not touching it, you know, but we'll leave it alone. But yeah, I think the Wii U, it kind of makes me think, you know, there's all this talk about there being a need for a Switch Pro or like a upgraded version of the Switch. And I don't think there's any need. I really don't think there's a need for it.
No, I don't think so, no.
And I think because the Wii U was arguably just an iteration of the Wii, it wasn't that much more powerful. It was just this, you know, it was just a slight upgrade, really, graphically. It wasn't on par with, you know, the next gen consoles. I think it just goes to show that having an upgrade for no reason isn't really a good idea for them. I don't know. I can't get my thoughts straight on it. Some things seem similar to me in the idea of having a Switch Pro. A Switch Pro would be like a new Wii U to me, I think. I don't think it would end well. Yeah.
And also, selfishly, I mean, if they release a Pro version, much like the PS4, in my experience, if you've got the original one, suddenly all the games are running terribly on it because they're all designed for the Pro version. So,
well, that's the thing. You don't want to fracture the the install base. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not really a fan of those upgrades, or it puts me off. You know, for that reason, I'm sort of put off getting a PS5, even if I had the money and the sort of incentive to buy one for that, because I know that they're going to release a better one in 2 or 3 years' time. That's just going to make mine, you know, not as good. So, I'm not really a fan of those.
I'd probably get one if I had the money, but I'm in no particular rush until there's some big sort of exclusives. Basically, the only exclusive that I'd get it for would be Astrobot, and that's basically a tech demo from what I can gather. You know, it's not like a full release.
Oh yeah, no, it's a little sort of throwaway thing, but it's supposed to be quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's meant to be good. I mean, yeah. But yeah, the Wii U, completely underrated console. I love it. It's really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
A big homebrew scene on it as well. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah. You can hack it really easily and everything.
Oh, really easy. Yeah, it's great.
Yes, excellent. Love the Wii U. Right, before we crack on to the main stuff, there was one little thing you wanted to discuss.
There is. I hear you barking, big dog. And here we go. It is Doug Bowser. He had an interview with Polygon.
Yep.
I'm not a big fan of Polygon, but
he
went to them. He didn't let us interview him. I don't know why.
Well,
beaten to punch by Polygon yet again.
We're not offended. It's fine.
We're not offended. It's fine. He's welcome whenever, but you know. But yeah, so they asked him, what's the point in getting rid of the Mario 35 and the 3D All Stars? What's the point in ditching them on March 31st? What's the logic?
Yeah.
He says, yeah, I think I use a simple word, celebration. This is a celebration of Mario's 35th anniversary, and we wanted to celebrate in unique and different ways. Does that make sense?
And that's it. That's all he said about it.
That's basically it. Yeah. Yeah, and they even chase him on it. They said, the celebration aspect we totally get. I just don't understand the consumer side of it, where someone who buys a Switch in June of next year is just never going to be able to buy those games. I don't see the upside, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And his response was, yeah, at this point the decision was really made around the celebration feature. I can't speak to any plans beyond the end of March.
Oh my god, it's like a politician, isn't it?
It's like, what better way to celebrate the 35th anniversary of Mario than making sure that no one can play the games after the match?
Giving someone a present and then just taking it away after a certain amount of time. Yeah. It's just.
We understand that people haven't been able to play these games for a long time, so we're going to make sure that trend continues going forward.
So that we can sell them to you again in a few years.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Great.
Yeah, it's so depressing. And if they carry on with this, and they probably will, because these games have sold and done well, it's just, I mean, it's so... Words fail me, frankly. Yeah. Forgive me, but it's bullshit. There we go.
Oh.
Yeah. And we can edit that one a little bit, that's fine. But yeah, it had to be said. Bowser, you're not a fan right now.
It's not often you swear.
No, it isn't. No,
it's not.
No, certainly not. But I pick my moments.
Have you ever seen Flight of the Conchords?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
I'm thinking that yes, you wouldn't swear, Murray. Right.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah. Well, that said, that needed to be said.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
it certainly did.
First, it was Jermaine with the mixed nuts, and then Doug Bowser with the with a Mario. It's enough to make anyone swear. Right. So what's next on the schedule?
Well, next we've got a clash of the Titans. We've got two games that are that have some beef with each other. Basically, we've got
Beefy Battlers.
Beefy Battlers. They both got the same name, but they come from different parents, so to speak. We've got Disney's Aladdin, and we've got Disney's Aladdin. One of them's on the Mega Drive, one of them's on the SNES. We're going to look at both of them. We're going to talk about both of them, and we're going to decide which one's best.
After these messages, there aren't any messages.
No, it's just a bit of music. But
bit of music. It's good though.
welcome back. This month we're talking about Aladdin. 2 games, as I've just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, first of all, Aladdin. Are you a big fan of the film?
Yeah, I like it. Well, I like the original. I can't say I like the live action remake they did.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it. But,
it's atrocious.
Yeah, I can imagine it
terrible.
is. I'm not really a fan of these Disney remakes at all.
No. But yeah, the original cartoon, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was the first film I ever saw in the cinema.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and when it was out in '92, I think, wasn't it?
92, I think.
Yeah, so I'd have been, I think, 7 then, which these days seems quite late to go to the cinema for the first time. But then I was thinking, you didn't get that many kids' movies in those days, I think, did you? Really, not really. Not compared to now, where you get one every 5 minutes. It's,
no, and kids are a pain in the arse in the cinema.
Oh
anyway,
yeah,
let's be honest,
I'd have been a nightmare before that. Yes.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, first film I saw was Lion King, so I was even a bit later than that. Yeah.
So it's a great movie. My wife's a big Disney fan, so I've actually seen it a fair few times in the last few years. It's on Disney Plus and stuff, this both of these games came out in '93 to time it with the VHS release, actually.
Yeah.
Right. So first of all, we're going to look at the Mega Drive one, shall we?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, we've said last time that this is the one that was from our childhood. We both got personal affection for this one in particular, haven't we? And we haven't really played the SNES one until now. So we'll start with that one. So it came out for the Sega Mega Drive. It's developed by Virgin Games, published by Sega, released in November '93, almost simultaneously in all 3 major territories, which we don't say very often about the book.
No, we don't. No.
Yeah. Though it's best known as a Mega Drive game, it would later see ports to DOS, Amiga, NES, Game Boy, and Game Boy Color.
Was there a Game Gear version as well?
That's a third version actually on the Master System and Game Gear. It's a whole different version, which we can talk about in a little bit as well.
Okay.
I haven't played it, but yeah. And then last year it was bundled with The Lion King and made available digitally and physically on all modern consoles as well.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. It's the 3rd best-selling Mega Drive game of all time after Sonic 1 and 2, selling over 4 million copies, and can now be bought for fully boxed for about £10 to £15.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazingly, this game was made in only 99 days. Did you know that?
I did not know that. It's quite quick.
Well, basically, Disney originally tasked a company called Blue Sky Software, who made things like Vector Man, Jurassic Park, Ren and Stimpy on the Mega Drive. It tasked them with doing it, but apparently neither Disney nor Sega were happy with any of their output whatsoever. So Virgin were brought in, they won the pitch successfully to do a replacement. But obviously they were left with very little time to put it together in order to release it along with the VHS version. So that's why they only had a very short amount of time to do it. But it's astonishing what they pulled off in only 99 days, really.
It is really. Yeah, all the artwork and sprites and stuff was actually done by Disney animators.
That's true, yeah, that would be my next point, yeah. Disney actually insisted on using their own animators for it. And the results are incredible. The animation is fantastic, isn't it? The characters have so much expression to them. They're so smooth. It really, really makes a difference, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
The environments too, very, very good. Very like the film, would you say?
Yeah, it's as close to being able to play the film as you were able to get at the time, I think, with the technology.
Yeah, that's right. It's the look certainly is very authentic to the movie, and the sound as well. The fact that they managed to get sort of Mega Drive versions of all the songs in there for the various levels, plus some great original pieces as well. Tommy Tallarico did a lot of the music. It's visually, aesthetically, the game is brilliant. I've always thought,
Yeah, it's superb. Yeah. I do wonder because I remember there's a video online, a video series with Tim Schafer, where they get devs to play various games and talk about the games as they're playing through, and they just sit down and have a chat while they're playing their own games, basically.
Yeah.
And they did one with one of the devs from The Lion King.
Right.
And he was saying that they had the same thing there. They used artwork and assets that were from the Disney animators. Apparently, the Disney animators got quite frustrated Like if you turn your character in mid-air, like in a video game, you just flip the sprite and that's it.
Yeah.
The animators wanted to like animate every turning. The Disney animators wanted to have it so, every frame of the animation as they turn around to make it all smooth and proper. And they had to like keep going back to them and explain that that's not how you do it. You can't do that in a game. It has to be quick and fluid. And and there was this is quite interesting to see how two different disciplines exactly mesh together, and the differences in how they approach things. I thought it was quite an interesting thing. I wonder if they had the same sort of discussions with with Aladdin going back.
From what I've read, that some of the animators took it quite well and they were able to adapt quite well. Others found it quite difficult, probably for the same sort of reasons you just described. So it is really interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, and working with I suppose when they draw it out, it's all nice and sort of high res, as we would call it today, and in beautiful color and everything. And then when they digitize it, perhaps they've got issues where those pixels don't look quite right and everything. It doesn't quite get across what they wanted to achieve with it. But that's just the way things were at the time, really, isn't it?
I think with the technology they had, though, I think it came out fantastic.
Oh, it looks brilliant. I mean, it's one of those games that people always say the Mega Drive's got a more limited color palette than the SNES, but it's one of those games where you wouldn't know to look at it because there's just the way they've chosen colors as well is really, really well done. So when did you play this originally? You had it on the Mega Drive originally?
I borrowed it on the Mega Drive originally. I never owned it to begin with. It was it's one of those games where you borrow from a mate, but when you're in like school and stuff, sometimes you just end up borrowing it for like months and months on end. It was sort of a long-term loan. I played it whenever I remember. Oddly, to date it. It's funny how you can think of things so can pinpoint a date, but I borrowed it the day we'd come back from town, and I'd stopped by my mate's house on the way back. My mum and us had gone into town to do it must have been shopping to get stuff ready for the new school term. Yeah. And Scatman had just been released. That was the big single. There was a big poster for Scatman and a big poster for Pulp Common People in the window of HMV. So whatever year that was, that would have been 95-ish.
Okay.
So that would be when I played it.
Right. Okay. So a couple of very good. I wasn't expecting to be that exact. Yeah. Very excellent. Okay. So a couple of years later, I got it. Probably very soon after it came out. Actually, it was I said last time it's my first ever game, basically. Because I got my Mega Drive in Christmas '93, and that came bundled with it. I remember the box very clearly. It's got the Mega Drive 2 on it and like Aladdin next to it and all that. And I loved it. It was probably the first game I put in, and that I just played it a lot that Christmas. Certainly, I was never any good at it. Of course, couldn't get very far, but that didn't matter when you're a kid. You just sort of load it up, have a go, die very quickly, and then just try again. It's just the way it is.
Exactly.
It does lead on to my next point, though. How the first half is okay, but the second half definitely.
Cave of Wonders.
Cave of Wonders is where it all kicks off, basically, and it doesn't get much easier after that. I think you can tell that it was only made in 3.5 months at that point, because it does start to get a little bit cheap in places. Yeah,
it does. I think that everyone who's played it will probably have memories of practically biting their controller in half on Cave of Wonders and the carpet ride.
And the carpet, the carpet's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It gets so fast towards the end. Basically, you're sort of flying horizontally across the screen. Yeah. And it'll give you, there's like rocks at certain heights, and you have to dodge up or down or between them in order to get through. Yeah. And as you go along, to begin with, it gives you like a little hint to go up or down. A little genie hand pops up. But as you go along, that genie hand stops coming up, so you've just got to use your own wits.
Yeah.
But it gets faster and faster and faster, and by the end, it is so unfairly fast. It's
literally
obscene.
impossible to do it first time around, just from sheer skill and reactions.
Yeah.
Your reactions cannot be quick enough if you don't know what's coming. You literally just have to memorize, okay, top, middle, bottom, middle, bottom, just that basically, and just do it very, very quickly. And it is ruthless. It is. I've never managed to remember the order. I just use save states on an emulator because there's just no other way. There is no other way unless you really invest the time. Yeah, and then the Cave of Wonders before that. I mean, the part of the problem with that one is you got to make very, very precise jumps. Basically, like in the film, the cave, you get a normal cave level just before that, which starts to get a little bit cheap, but it's just about manageable. Then all the lava starts to come out. There's so many drops into the lava, which is instant death. The jump from sort of rocky platform to rocky platform, and the problem with that is that a lot of the geometry in it doesn't always match the sprite of the rock, I find. So sometimes the rock would go a little bit further, sometimes it would go end a little bit before the geometry does, and usually you've got to jump right from the very, very edge of that platform. And there was moments where I thought I was jumping from the edge of it and not making it. I thought, how much further can I go? And I just thought, maybe if I go a little bit further. And sure enough, he was just standing, just in midair, basically. And that's the point where you've got to jump off of. And it was just, it's very trial and error.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And the bats.
The bats. Oh, I mean, is there ever a good video game bat? I mean, they tend to be the most annoying enemies you can encounter, really, don't they?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I don't think there has ever been a good video game bat.
No. If you know of a good video game bat, do write in, because we'd love to know. We'd love to meet it, because I have never encountered one. I've never encountered one.
Video, top 10 video game bats. That's the sort of thing that brings in the views, isn't it? They love it.
It would, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I would say I would think those levels are the peak hardness of the game. It tends to sort of plateau after that, I think.
Sort of, but the genie level is quite frustrating as well for similar reasons. There's a lot of. It's quite good because you kind of it borrows a lot of elements from the genie song in the film, doesn't it? A lot of nice visual elements like column A, column B, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Visually it's really nicely done, but there's lots of little platforms, lots of little genie hands. You got to jump on that sort of disappear and reappear. You got to get really, really precise. If you miss, you just fall and die immediately. And it could be.
It feels fairer than the carpet ride, though.
Oh, it does. It does. The carpet ride
when you mess up, you do. You feel like, oh yeah, I could have done that jump differently. I could have done this differently. It's not. It doesn't feel completely arbitrary like the carpet ride does.
The carpet ride is probably the most arbitrary thing I've ever played in my life. Yeah, but yes, it is better than that, but it's still quite frustrating. The palace level again is a little bit better still.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Jafar's palace isn't that bad. But have you ever played the final bosses of?
Yeah.
They are just. I mean.
Yeah, I was going to say that the palace itself is fine, but the final boss.
The snake Jafar is just it's fire everywhere basically.
Yeah.
And I as I said, I've mentioned a couple of episodes ago that I discovered cheats in RetroArch. So for both of these games, I turned on infinite lives just because it's easier to get through. I didn't rely on save states too much. I just kept playing. I just wanted to be able to master most of the challenges. But that one, just the boss, I had to, in the end, I wanted to see the end. I just turned on infinite health as well, just because it's just so. I don't see how you could do it. It's just.
I played it legit. I got up to the final boss. I didn't beat it.
Okay.
But I got up to the final boss.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have beaten it previously.
Okay.
But. Yeah, I didn't this time.
It takes a lot of. It's one of those games that just takes a lot of trial and error, and just endless failures. And you gotta have a lot of patience for it.
Yeah, I was going to say my patience ran out with it. I think that was the thing. I couldn't face going through the whole game again.
No, I understand. I'm amazed you did that just legit. Because that's just doing that alone is. mind-boggling to me. But the first half is really good though.
Oh yeah.
The level design is quite interesting because it kind of goes. It doesn't like go in a straight line like most platformers do. You kind of go up a bit and then backwards, and then kind of all around the whole area. It doesn't waste any space at all, does it?
No.
Sometimes it's hard to figure out because there'll be like a pillar or something blocking your way, and you won't be able to get past it. But in another instance, that same pillar you can just walk past it.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit odd in that regard, but it's the level design's fairly good. Some interesting ideas keep coming into the game. When you get into the dungeon, that's got a whole new set of traps and things to negotiate. You got a sword, which the other game doesn't have, for one thing. Sword and apples, so you can throw the apples that you collect, or you can swipe the sword. I find the apples are a safer bet because if you get into like sword fights, you tend to the health tends to chip away.
Yeah.
I mean, quite often a lot of deaths are due to just general health going down over time, and not a lot of health to pick up, I found.
Yeah. I speaking of the apples and the swords, one of my favourite things about the game is just a little detail on. I think you probably know what I'm going to say. But
I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
There's a sword juggling enemy on the first. I think he's only on the first area.
Yeah.
I don't think he pops up in any of the other levels. But he's just basically juggling these swords, and every now and then he'll throw one at you. If you happen to throw an apple at him at the same time he chucks a sword at you, it will slice the apple into little halves, and they fall down.
Yeah.
It's just such a nice little detail.
It is a lovely touch. That wasn't actually the one I thought you were going to say.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were going to say when you throw an apple at the fat guy, his trousers come down.
Oh.
Which,
yes,
as a kid, it was
too.
just hilarious. It's one of those things. Like you get your mates around and you're like, oh yeah, and jumping on the camel as well when you make it spit and jump on the camel. It's things like that you just get your friends around and go, oh yeah, look at this, look what happens when you do this. And there's some lovely little touches like that in this game. Yeah, there are.
It's so.
That I'm amazed they had time to do, given the tight restrictions. So it's there's some lovely work put in. Again, thanks to the animators a lot of the time. So yeah, really really good. Stuff. It's just a shame it's just so unforgiving in places, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, especially when it's a game, ostensibly for children.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
I
mean, kids don't know how lucky they have, how easy they have it these days, do they?
No.
They'll play like a little app that barely has any challenge to it at all. In our day, we just play a game where you just died immediately over and over again.
We were talking about it before, how games, the live system doesn't really exist in games anymore. You don't have, you're playing, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto, you lose a life and then that's it, you've only got 3 lives and then it's back to the start.
Yeah, the whole concept of going back to the start is completely alien.
It's gone now,
yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's good that it's gone. It's obviously just a hangover from the arcades, but... kids don't put up with that now. They don't understand
they would
the
have
pain.
no patience. No
patience. No discipline.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a shame. Anything else you want to say about the Mega Drive game before we move on to its counterpart?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we've mentioned the music. Obviously, the music's fantastic.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's really, really good. My wife likes to sing Disney songs around the house. While she's doing it, I sort of replace it with the tune from these versions in my head because I know them better than the actual film.
Yeah, I do as well. I got to be honest. Yeah,
but they're really really well done. They're beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the film, while it's on my mind, what's your opinion on the old debate about whether the old bloke at the beginning, the little merchant, is that the genie?
Is he the genie? Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't think I've ever really thought about it.
Oh, well, he's voiced by
Robin Williams. Yeah,
he's the only character who's got 4 fingers. Like Genie.
Is he? Oh, really? I didn't realise.
And he seems to know an awful lot about the land.
He does. Yeah, I think you're probably onto something there. Okay. I never thought about that.
Yeah. I didn't come up with a theory. I'm not going to take credit for it, but it's certainly one to think about next time you watch it.
I'll mull it over next time. Yeah, good.
Yeah. So, so we'll go on to the Super Nintendo version then.
So this was fairly alien to both of us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think I played it a very small amount, but this is the first time I properly sat down with it.
Yeah, I've been aware of it because obviously it's very highly regarded. And it's created by Shinji Mikami of Resident Evil fame.
It is, yes.
So
and
obviously I'm aware, and Dino Crisis, yeah. So I'm aware of it, yeah, but it's the first time I've really sat down properly and had a go.
Yeah. So it was released for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System in November '93 in Japan and the US. Sadly, they just missed Christmas here, though. It didn't come out till January, which probably was a bit of a kick in the teeth.
Yeah.
It's quite important that. As you said, it's developed by Capcom, Shinji Mikami. You can get it nowadays for anything from about a tenner to £30 or £40, depending on whether you want it loose or boxed. And the game was ported only once to the Game Boy Advance. Not so successfully, from what I gather. It sold 1.8 million units, which is still fairly good, but
respectable.
Less than half of the Mega Drive one. Why do you think that would be? Because it's Aladdin, it's on both. I mean, I think the console had a fairly equal user base at that point, roughly. It's interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting. It's difficult to say. I mean, I think obviously missing the Christmas window would have had a huge knock-on.
In Europe,
that's going to take a big chunk out of the sales.
Yeah.
But in terms of lifetime sales, no, I don't know. I don't really know why it would be so, such a disparity between it, really. Like you say, the install bases were about the same. I mean, if I recall, Super Nintendo cartridges were a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
But, not that much in it, I don't think. Maybe it's down to advertising.
Could be, yeah. I think perhaps Sega knew they were onto something maybe with that, and they probably pushed. I mean, as I say, I got it in the box with my Mega Drive, so maybe it was things like that, advertising. Maybe Nintendo didn't push it as much. Probably that.
Yeah, I wonder if the packing sales, contributed to that number. If that was just
probably quite a lot.
Yeah.
So strangely, you could find quite a lot about the background behind the Mega Drive one, but not much about this one, annoyingly. So it's not clear to me how long this one took to develop compared to the Mega Drive one. Maybe the original version that the Blue Sky Software were working on was supposed to be on both consoles, but they ran out of time, so Disney had to get in two studios to do both versions. I don't know.
I don't know.
I would say, without getting too far into the game, I think it's a little bit more of a polished game, certainly in terms of the difficulty in general.
Yeah.
So maybe they've had a little bit more time on it. I don't know, but we'll have a look. Now, the first thing you'll notice about it is that it doesn't look as good and it doesn't sound as good. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad.
It's not a bad-looking game at all, but the sprites are much smaller.
Yeah.
I'm not keen on some of the original enemy designs.
No, they're a little bit weak.
Yeah.
Some choppy animations some places, like when he's swinging and stuff. And the sound, for some reason they use two of the songs from the film, but that's it. All the rest is original music. And you think, why wouldn't you use all of them? They probably got covered under the same copyright, I should think.
I don't know. Whenever it's things like that, it always boils down to licensing of some kind, and that.
Yeah, it does. But it's a bit of an odd one, isn't it? How the Mega Drive was able to use it and the SNES wasn't. But yeah, anyway. So that's that. The original music is a lot weaker than the original music in the Mega Drive as well. Yeah. I would say it's very forgettable. It's not bad, but it's not bad. It's nothing. But... It's quite short. Loops quite a lot. But I think the gameplay in this one was really good, personally.
I liked it. Yeah, it's much more acrobatic and.
You feel a lot more like Aladdin in this one than the Mega Drive one. You don't have the sword, which Aladdin doesn't really have in the film anyway, apart from maybe at the very end, I think. So weirdly, it does have apples as well, which I wonder why they happen to both go down that route. It's interesting. I wonder they got the same call from Disney about it, or they came up with it spontaneously. I don't know. But you can jump on enemies' heads in this, much like a normal platform game.
Yeah,
the enemies just sort of fall off the screen, And you can get some real rhythm to it sometimes. You can bounce off an enemy's head, bounce off a pot, grab onto a swinging thing. If you collide with an enemy while you're swinging, you'll sort of kick them away. Some really nice kind of platformy stuff here, very smooth, very satisfying to pull off sort of these acrobatic moves, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. It does, like you say, when you say you feel more like Aladdin, like the
Mm.
especially like the opening sequence of the film where the Agrabah rooftops and you're
Yeah,
sort of swinging around, and it does feel it's got that sort of kinetic feel that the film has.
yeah, definitely.
It does feel, yeah, very. I was going to say flowy, but that's not a word.
No, but we know what you mean, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
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 things you
I
sort of
really
flow
like it.
from one thing to another quite well. The platforming in general is really good. I'd say there's more of an emphasis on platforming than combat
Oh, definitely, yeah,
compared to
definitely.
the Mega Drive version. The Mega Drive version has lots of enemies and things like that, whereas this has got a much more variety of types of platform, like moving platforms and things to negotiate as you go through the levels. The levels are quite distinct from each other in terms of their sort of gimmicks and things like that.
Yeah,
Such as when you get to the genie level in the middle, it's got some it kind of gives them license to do things you'll see more in traditional platformers and that kind of thing. So yeah, I was really really impressed by the gameplay actually in general. I thought the difficulty curve was much smoother. It did get a little bit cheap in some places, but not
yeah.
nearly as much as the Mega Drive
I
one.
was going to say not nearly as much as some of the sections on the Mega Drive.
Yeah. The Cave of Wonders is a great comparison because, as we just said, it's a bit of a nightmare on the Mega Drive one. On here, it's much more manageable, but it's still quite tough. But there was a point where I was down to like one heart, and I was convinced I was going to go at any point, but I just somehow managed to just like keep bouncing off of stuff and keep hanging onto the platforms and not getting hit by stuff, and made it all the way to the end. And it was like moments like that sort of make you fall in love with it a bit because.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, that felt amazing.
I was going to say it feels really. You get that real sort of accomplishment, don't you? You really
do.
feel like you can get skillful at it. You're not just.
Oh yeah.
You can actually be. You can master the game. You can really get used to because we mention you can like glide as well. You can sort of swing off things and then you can do like a glide. And
I didn't experience that in the game myself, but I saw it on a YouTube video after having played through the whole thing. You can get like it's like a cloth to hold over yourself, isn't it? You can kind of glide a little bit. How did you get? Was that just a thing that's in one level, or what's the deal with that?
I can't remember where I got it. It was just there. I don't remember picking it up.
Yeah, so it's not like a permanent thing, but it's just a one-off kind of thing. And
yeah.
The story. We didn't really talk about the story much in the first one.
No, we didn't know.
Because this sitting down this time on the Mega Drive one was the first time I'd ever actually bothered to watch the cutscenes of the game, because obviously as a kid you just like skip, and it is just like pictures and text basically describing the story of the film vaguely. They've cut out quite a lot and they kind of diverge a little bit. This one does a similar thing. It's got a little bit more of an animation to it. Certainly the first half of the film is done a bit more faithfully, I would say. Like even when you're in the Cave of Wonders, you kind of in the actual level you walk past the statue the big ape is holding that Abu wants to steal from the film. You walk past it, you go up to the lamp at the top, and then it cuts back and Abu's trying to steal it, and then he causes the whole thing. So it just feels like a little bit more part of it in places, although it does go on a bit of a tangent later on where it just decides to throw in a pyramid level that never existed in the film. Right after they escape from the Cave of Wonders, it suddenly says, "Oh, Abu fell and went into a pyramid. Now you've got to go and get him." What? You're doing so well. Why are we in a pyramid? They blatantly just wanted to do a pyramid level, didn't they? Really?
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah.
I will say though, in their defence, there may be something to it, because I know, again, going back to that Tim Schafer series, where they were talking to the Lion King devs. There's a whole level in the Lion King game based around the Hakuna Matata song, and there's this whole sort of environment, and there's like a gorilla enemy who throws coconuts at you at the end. This coconut boss. That was actually based on when they were developing the game. They were given like a design bible from Disney with all the concept art and all storyboards and stuff from the film.
Yeah.
And that whole section of the game was based on a scene from the film, a whole sequence in the film. And the boss was a character in the film, and it all ended up being cut from the film before it was released. But by the time it was cut, they'd already made those parts of the game, so they couldn't remove it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if at some point in the Disney vaults there's a storyboard of a pyramid section of the film.
Could be, yeah.
You
could
know,
be.
things happen.
They
but...
sort of go past one on the Whole New World song, don't they? On the thing, so it's probably linked there. Yeah, I was just thinking they could have done. There are a couple of environments that they touched briefly on in the film, but would have made more sense. Like right after they free the genie and they escape the cave, they sort of go to a little oasis bit in the desert. They could have done something there. Or when Jafar gets his powers and he sends Aladdin off to like an Arctic kind of area. How cool would it have been to do like a little snowy level?
A little slippery, slidey ice level,
yeah. That would have made a lot more sense, I think. But
yeah, it would actually,
pyramid level isn't bad. It was it's quite pyramidy, quite similar to a lot of things like that in other games. I mean, in general, I really like this game. I liked it more than I thought I would, to be honest. There's another thing where Abu is quite animated in the game as well, isn't he? When he's following you around in some of the levels. It's not like a Tails thing where he duplicates your moves after a second or so. He kind of wanders off on sort of higher platforms along the tops of stalls, climbing up, the sides of walls and things like that. He feels like a whole, other animated character in the thing, which I quite liked. And when it's quite good. When you're fighting a boss at the end of like the first set of levels, you fight the guy who wants to chop off Jasmine's hand, doesn't he? Because she's stolen an apple. He's on the top of the stool, kind of like throwing punches in the air. Did you see that? Yeah. There's some quite nice little touches there as well.
I always remember when I was obviously I didn't play this one when I was a kid. I played the Mega Drive one, but I always remember wishing that you could play as Abu. I would have loved to have seen some like as a selectable character or something. Just play through it because he's a monkey.
Oh, he's a great little character, isn't he? Yeah. He does get the bonus stage in the Mega Drive one, though. Which
he does.
But it's a bit of a throwaway, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, other than the fact that it doesn't look as good and sound as good as the Mega Drive one, I don't have a lot of negative stuff to say about this game because I really enjoyed it.
Oh, no, it is. It's a really good game. It's
a very good all-round platformer. It's very kind of, the physics are good. It feels great to sort of jump off of stuff and bounce around. The level design's really nice. It's got like nice, quite little short levels rather than like several big levels. They're all cut up into little chunks, which are much more manageable than some of the Mega Drive ones. I don't know if you've got anything else to say about it.
It's good. I think... I don't know how much of it is nostalgia speaking. I'm trying to be as objective as I can about it. I would still put it in second place in terms of my favourite game. I would say the Mega Drive one is the superior game.
Okay.
Would you agree with that, or would?
Do you know what? I wouldn't.
Oh.
I know. I'm surprised as much surprised as you are, but I had a lot more fun with this one.
Okay.
And as a lifelong kind of Mega Drive owner and Sega fan, it pains me a little bit to admit when Nintendo did something better than Sega, when they were perfectly kind of going at it with each other. But I really like this game. I really enjoyed the platforming, and the Mega Drive one, as I said, the first half is great and it looks the business, sounds the business, but it is a frustrating game to play at the end of the day. Whereas this one is much less so, and it's much more enjoyable. And it is a shame it doesn't look and sound better. And that goes a long way in the Mega Drive one, because it really does look authentic Aladdin stuff. And if you want something that kind of is a good companion to the film, the Mega Drive one is probably the better one to go for. But if you want something that plays better, I think it's this one. So I was hoping we'd come to a consensus, actually, so we can actually decide once and for all which is a better game, but we haven't done that at all. So all the advertisement for this episode has gone out the window, really.
I think you're... I would say in terms of pure gameplay mechanics, it is the better game, the Super Nintendo one.
Yeah.
But in terms of, if I wanted to play the reason you play a licensed game, or particularly, again, I'm speaking from, the mindset of when I was a kid and these games were aimed at me.
Yeah, yeah.
You go see a film in a cinema and you want to play a game of that film. You want to play that film.
That is very true, yeah.
As an Aladdin game, a game of the film Aladdin, I think the Mega Drive 1 succeeds better.
Yeah.
As purely a game, the Super Nintendo one is better.
It is. I agree. I totally agree with you.
My
on there.
head says Nintendo. My heart, my heart says Sega.
Yeah, I know. Part of me wants to agree completely as well, but I don't know.
I don't think we're going to bring this age-old argument to a
conclusion.
We are.
I was hoping we would. I was hoping we'd have the definitive answer for you, so you can finally stop arguing about it. But we don't really, do we?
No, we don't.
I've been a bit of a turncoat here, and it's close. It's very, very difficult.
It's very close.
But as I was playing it, I thought, I got to admit, this is better. They had it better on the other side, a little bit, not by much, but a little bit. And in different ways. So there's, whichever one you go for, you got a good game. Ultimately, there's no stinker.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, what's it going to cost you? £10? You're going to get your money's worth out of it anyway. So
definitely, yeah. It's ultimately it comes down to what you want out of it. Do you want a really good platformer, or do you want something that's like the film, and kind of draws on everything from that? So.
I'm
afraid we can't offer anything more decisive than that. Yeah.
It depends what you want. Like you say, do you want a faithful adaptation of a beloved film, or do you just want something that goes its own way and just uses the characters as trapping? Yeah.
Well, that's a negative way of looking.
I was just trying to be deliberately divisive. No, I think they're both brilliant. They're both really, really good.
Yeah. I just wanted to touch on that Mystery Third game as well on the Master System and Game Gear. I haven't played it. I had a quick look on YouTube before we started the episode. It's a very sort of short, simple game. There's not much gameplay to it from what I could see, but there's a lot of story. Like, it follows the story almost perfectly.
Is it not based on the Mega Drive one? Have I imagined this?
I mean, I've always been confused because I knew there was lots of smaller versions and I wasn't clear on what was based on what. But it seems like...
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the Nintendo version. I know that there's an 8-bit version that looks exactly... Well, not exactly, obviously, but it follows the Mega Drive version. Yeah,
so the Game Boy and Game Boy Color versions are... I haven't looked at them, to be honest. I don't know how faithful they are. But apparently they are of the same lineage as the Mega Drive one, so they take all their cues from that.
That might be what I'm thinking of.
It's confusing, but this Game Gear Master System version apparently is completely different. I don't know who made it or when it came out, but it's a third option if you're still looking for something Aladdin-y, and it is one that stays very true to the story more so than either of these. So, and it's got all the cutscenes play out in the gameplay sort of thing, and so it's it might be worth having a little play at some point.
Yeah, it might be worth checking out.
It's an interesting thing. Obviously, Aladdin was really huge at that time, so they had umpteen versions on all sorts of stuff.
Well, I mean, that was Aladdin isn't sort of the only instance of you could get a game released on two consoles, and they would be completely different. Completely different things. You don't really. That's another thing you don't really get now, do you?
No, you don't. I mean, it all comes down to how different the Mega Drive and the SNES were, really, isn't it? Because they had their strengths and weaknesses, and you couldn't really make the same game for both, really, because you had to, make compromises in certain places. The SNES didn't have as good a processor, the Mega Drive didn't have as many colors and the sound and that kind of thing. So it's very difficult to find the same experience. Usually one is better than the other, and it's whichever one's the devs kind of based it on, I find. Because usually they'll base it on one thing and then kind of make a port for the other one, and there's a lot of compromises made. So it was a very interesting time. As you said, you don't get that anymore with the PS4 and Xbox One versions. They're pretty much the same, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, well, now we've got all sort of middleware and, all the engine, everything runs on Unreal or Unity or, so once it's made, it'll basically, if the machine can run Unreal Engine, it'll play essentially the same on all the platforms.
Yeah.
But, back in the day, you would get completely different versions of the game made by different devs with the same name, and it'd be completely different things on different systems. There's pros and cons to each side of it, really. I mean, obviously it's nice to know that you're not going to get a lesser version of the game just because you've bought an Xbox rather than the PlayStation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was something nice about each console having its own little unique features and games. And
yeah, it's really interesting. Because I've played a lot of Mega Drive. There's only a handful of SNES games I've really played properly, to be honest. And it is always interesting when you play them and you see things that system could do that the Mega Drive couldn't. All the effects and the Mode 7 and all that kind of thing. And it's interesting to see. Oh, so these are the things that they were getting, whereas we were getting other stuff that they weren't. And it's just it's fascinating to play retrospectively, I find.
Have you played? Oh, we're going off topic here. We probably
right.
shouldn't need to. We need to keep on track. But did you play that the port of Green Hill Zone Sonic that someone did to the Super Nintendo?
I saw it. I haven't played it yet.
It's really good.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Yeah, I was very interested by it. I still haven't got around to playing it.
Yeah. It's just amazing. That would have been mind blowing back in the day.
It would have been. Yeah. Yeah, I love stuff like that. It's brilliant. Right, so I think we're done with. Well, I say we're done. We're not. We never really got to a consensus, but yeah, that's the best we can do. I'm afraid. Sorry about that. Yeah. But we will come to a decisive thing on the next thing, because we have got the 2020 Podemup Awards.
Is this the third annual Podemup? It's
the third annual Podemup Awards. So previously we've crowned Ghost Trick Phantom Detective from Capcom.
Give us a call, Capcom.
Yep, and Uncharted.
Uncharted.
Undertale. I knew it began with Undertale by a good old Toby Fox.
Yeah.
So within the next half an hour or so, we will crown a third game into the annals
Hall of Fame.
Time.
Yes, the annals of time.
So stick with us. We'll take a little break and we'll come back and do just that.
Cool.
Welcome back. You join us at the annual Podemup Awards. Indeed. This is where we pick our favourite book club game of all the games we've covered this year. So the finalists are Jet Set Radio on the Dreamcast, Dino Crisis on the PS1, Katamari Damacy on the PS2, Wild 9 on the PS1, Knuckles Chaotix on the Mega Drive 32X, Chibi Robo on the GameCube, Costume Quest on the Xbox Live Arcade and PS3, Incredible Crisis on PS1, and we just covered them, Disney's Aladdin on Mega Drive and Disney's Aladdin on SNES. So, I've got a little spreadsheet that I printed out here. I'm all prepared this time. I've put my votes down on it. I'm going to mark yours as you read them out.
Okay.
Basically, I've changed it up again a little bit this year, because what happened last year, for anyone who will remember, is that we had two games that were getting a lot of votes, particularly. That was Undertale and Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid was getting a lot of honourable mentions, but it wasn't getting the votes because it was going for the same categories that Uncharted. I did it again. Undertale. It again, yeah. Uncharted on the brain. Undertale was getting. So it ended up getting less points, even though it's probably the second best game in the bunch. So I've had to think about this, and basically for each category, we're going to give a runner-up and a winner, each of us. So the winner from each will get 2 points, and the runner-up will get 1 point. So if we both pick the same game as the winner, it will get 4 points for that category.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes. If you don't understand, you'll pick it up as we go along.
Yes.
So there's slightly fewer categories this year to sort of account for the extra kind of babble, probably. But yeah, we've got a listener award and our ultimate favourite award as well, where we'll pick 3 games each, getting 1, 2, and 3 points respectively.
Yes. I think it's gonna be a more varied.
I think so.
I think it's hard to predict what the overall winner is going to be this time.
Yeah, I think so. There's a game, I won't say what it is, but there is a game that's come out top quite definitively for me.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's the same one for you, actually. So it's going to be really interesting because I don't really know what's going to happen. I'm hoping it's going to be fairly decisive and we don't have like a complete tiebreak at the end.
That's not been the theme of today's show, has it? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So the first award is the Graphics Award, as always. This is for outstanding achievement in the field of graphics on its own console, basically. Mm-hmm. So obviously a Game Boy game won't look obviously as good as a Xbox 360 game, but it's relative to the strengths of that console, basically.
Yeah.
So what's your runner-up for graphics? The
runner-up for graphics is Aladdin on Mega Drive.
Okay.
Basically for the reasons we discussed in the thing, how much it was character sprites done by the Disney animators, the backgrounds, it looked as close as you could get to playing the film on the technology at the time. So that was the runner-up for me.
Yes, that was also the runner-up for me, for exactly the same reasons. So your winner for the graphics award is
Jet Set Radio on Dreamcast.
Same for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could only really be those two, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you just had to look at a screenshot from Jet Set Radio. You can see how awesome it looks, really.
Yeah. And it hasn't aged at all. It looks as good now as it did then.
That's the great thing about cell shading. It looks brilliant, whatever point in time you look at it.
Yeah.
The colours, the vibrancy, just the graphical style of the whole thing, the whole graffiti thing adds to it as well. The bright blue Sega skies, it's a brilliant looking game. Absolutely gorgeous. It makes the Dreamcast sing, basically, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Superb.
Okay, so next category is the Music Award, which is fairly self-explanatory. Mm-hmm. My runner-up in the Music Award is Aladdin.
Okay.
As we've just discussed, really, it's got a great soundtrack, beautiful versions of the songs from the film, some really good original pieces as well. Particularly the desert, the second level, the desert one.
Yeah.
It's a great little catchy tune. Lovely. Yeah, that's my runner-up.
It's mine as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
For the same reasons.
For the same reasons. Okay,
yes.
We're aligning.
Here we go.
We might align on the winner as well. The winner is Katamari Damacy for me.
Oh no, my winner was Jet Set Radio.
Oh, Jet Set. Yeah, okay, another good. Obviously, that would have been my third one.
Yeah,
it's a great soundtrack to Katamari Damacy. You just have to listen to the intro to.
Oh, I love the intro.
To get it, it's one of the best intros of any game ever, I think. Just that alone almost maybe put it in, but the fact, frankly, the rest of the soundtrack is brilliant too. It's just so sort of weird, so very Japanese, just kind of crazy lyrics and stuff, but it's just really catchy music, absolutely lovely, goes with the gameplay so well, fits it really, really well. So that's why I picked Katamari Damacy. Yeah,
so I can get behind that. It's a very good choice. I went for Jet Set Radio. Probably just because I spent so much time playing it back in the day, and those like the little tune it plays during the loading screen, with the little sort of walkie-talkie things bouncing around on the screen, and it complements the game so well. It just it completely get the vibe. Like if someone said, what's the game about? What's the feel of the game? You could play them any track from that game, and they could probably get an idea of what kind of style and atmosphere the game was going to have. I think it's all very cohesive. Some great tracks in it, and the composer is on Twitter, and he's mad. He's great. He's a crazy guy to follow. So Music Award, Jet Set Radio.
Brilliant. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, it's very, very good music. Not always necessarily my kind of music, but I totally appreciate, how kind of, influential it's been to a lot of people, that soundtrack. Yeah, very, very good. So the next award is the Level Design Award. Now, obviously this fits perfectly for a platformer, but for any other type of game, it's really kind of the structure of the game's content and, that kind of thing, sort of puzzle structure, challenge structure, that kind of thing. So the design of the game almost, So what have you gone as your runner-up for that category?
I have gone with Incredible Crisis.
Okay, cool.
Like you say, it's a category sort you would think it would be more suited to platformers and things like that.
Yeah.
But some of the crazy mini games and some of the daft stuff that happens in Incredible Crisis is so imaginative and so bananas. It needs to be recognised. So it's not good enough to win the overall award, but a runner-up award, I think it's definitely worthy of.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just there's some bananas stuff in there. There really was. It's kind of like, some of the mechanics were fairly simple, but like it's almost like the excuses of how we can use these mechanics in the most daft way possible.
Yes.
And it's just it's a really lovely game actually.
Yeah.
Because I see where you're coming from. That definitely. My runner-up was Aladdin on the SNES.
Okay.
For reasons I said earlier, don't really need to go too much into it. Just the design of the levels themselves, literally really good.
Aladdin for the SNES is my overall winner for level design.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah. For the same reasons we discussed. Like I said, if I'm thinking with my head rather than my heart, the Super Nintendo one was the better game.
Yeah.
And you do get that sort of that flow of gameplay. I think as we discussed plenty in the main part of the show. I'm going to go with that as my main one.
Okay. My main one is Katamari Damacy again.
Okay. Yeah.
I just loved how when you start off, if you've never played it, it's basically about rolling a big ball and sucking up other stuff to make a bigger ball. You start off surrounded by very, very small things, in a tiny part of a room, say, and then you get more and more bits and you go off to another area and then you come back and suddenly you can suck up bigger bits in that same area. And that whole idea I just absolutely loved because the design of the levels really sort of catered to that. Like, you seem like you're exploring quite a small place and then suddenly you would go over the hill and it would just be a gigantic area as well, and then suddenly you were picking up things really easily that were gigantic before and impenetrable and just thought they were part of the geometry, but they actually become things that you can pick up. And just the way those things were structured and laid out, I absolutely loved. So that's why I gave it the Level Design Award, really. Yeah,
I think that's great.
So the next one is a Podemup favourite, is the Character Award.
Yes.
It's the one character in a particular game, which will represent the game, obviously, that you really loved, basically, for any reason that you want to give.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. My runner-up for the Character Award is Chibi Robo.
Okay.
Because he's a nice little robot. I love his design. I love his just little friendly demeanour. He just knocks about the place doing nice things. He's a
lovely little fellow, isn't he?
He's a good little boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it boils down to. I can't over-egg the pudding on that one. He's a good robot.
Yeah, he's a good guy. So who's your winner then?
My winner of the Character Award is King of the Universe from Katamari Damacy.
Yes, of course.
Just because he's mad.
The disdain he has for his own son is just hilarious. Yeah,
it's great. You make what was it? The Cygnus constellation. He's like, that's the worst, a sickly looking swan, the worst swan I've ever seen. It's brilliant. I love him.
The lines. Unfortunately, I can't remember any of them.
I can't remember what they are, the lines exactly, but
they're beautifully written.
Yeah.
And yeah, what was I going to say? There was also his backstory about how he's just destroyed the whole cosmos on a drunken bender, and then just doesn't even lift a finger to fix it. He just gets his son to do it all for him.
Yeah,
and it's just you can't help but love him.
No, exactly.
He's brilliant.
He's brilliant. So
yeah.
He's my number one.
He's very good. The reason I held back is because I've got those same two, but in the opposite order.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
Okay, so I've got Katamari Damacy's King of the Cosmos is my runner-up, but my winner is Chibi Robo for the reasons that you specified. He's just a lovely little fella.
That surprises me. I thought you were going to go with the King of the Universe. That was my...
I thought you would do what I did, so that's really interesting. We've cancelled each other out.
Yeah.
I fell in love with him a little bit because he's just a very nice, charming little guy. The characters in there are great anyway, really. But I like how he's mute, as a lot of game characters are. But I think it works really well for him.
Yeah.
Because he just kind of goes around solving all these problems without really saying a word. But he all he wants to do is just help people. He's not in it for himself or anything like that. He's just the most helpful person
ever. Just a helpful
even though he's not really
guy.
A person. Yeah, he's lovely.
He is.
Well, he is a person, really, isn't
Yes.
he? Yeah, he is. He's got a heart in there, definitely. Okay, kind of on a similar basis, but not necessarily. I felt that so many games have this that we should make an award for it. It's the Charm Award. Now, this can be, humorous dialogue. It can be a charming setting. A charming art style. Anything that you found particularly endearing about the game. So my runner-up for this is Chibi Robo. As I just said, the characters are just really nice.
Yeah.
They're really funny. They're their little backstories. They've all got little backstories and things like that. And again, for the same sort of reasons, he's a lovely little guy that likes to help people, and you can't help but be charmed by that.
I got a feeling we're going to be on the same page with this one.
Yeah.
Because that's my choice for runner-up as well.
Okay.
For the same reasons.
Yeah.
I second everything you said.
Okay. And so I think you might match this. My winner is Incredible Crisis.
Oh. No,
okay.
I went for Katamari Damacy.
Okay, yes. I mean, yeah, as I said, there's so many contenders here. Katamari Damacy is incredibly charming.
No, I can see the argument for Incredible Crisis as well. Yeah,
exactly. They're all in there. It's really hard to pick a runner-up.
I'm glad it mixes it up a bit. Rather
it does,
the past couple of times, like the first year was Ghost Trick for everything.
Last
year was Undertale for everything. So it's nice to have a bit of a mix this time.
I'm really glad that it's not like that again because it does make it a little bit less predictable. But yeah, so Incredible Crisis was a lot of it is down to Tanio, actually, because he's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Because the graphical detail isn't obviously as much as it is these days, but despite that, you can see a lot of expression on his little face as he goes from one disaster to another. And it's like you can see the exasperation on his little face and his little screams as like one terrible thing happens to him after another. And there's just something very charming about that.
Yeah. The whole family, really.
The whole family. The wife similarly as well, actually.
Yeah.
Because she gets into a lot of scrapes as well, and she has like these kind of screams, and it's just it's just very funny.
It is. It's a very funny game, a very charming game. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, Katamari Damacy, again, we've everything we've spoken about, really. The Prince is a lovely little character. Just the design of him is all quirky and peculiar. He's got like hammer-shaped head, and he's just rolls things around, sticks it to a big ball. The King of the Universe. You roll over a cat and its little legs kick about.
Oh yeah, I love that.
It's all just everything about the game. The music. The art style, the gameplay, all the little details of the things you pick up, everything just oozes charm.
It oozes charm, exactly that. It does,
I love it. So, but it's close. It really is close.
Yeah.
Well,
I think we've got the three biggest contenders there. Anyway,
yeah,
definitely. And they've all actually worked out as equal points, so that's, can't say fairer than that, can we?
Yeah.
The Innovation Award. So this is where a game takes its genre and sort of mixes it up and does new things with it, or invents a whole new genre, if applicable. My runner-up is Chibi Robo.
Okay.
Because there aren't that many games really quite like Chibi Robo. It's sort of described as an adventure platformer. It's quite sort of open-ended. You can go around exploring. You're a little guy in a house. I just couldn't think of many other games that were quite like it. It's very sort of non-threatening kind of gameplay, quite constructive. You find out all the stories about the family. It gets quite deep in that regard and all their little problems, trying to fix them. And it was not so much innovative in a genre sense, more innovative in the sense that I hadn't really played much like that before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's a good choice. My runner-up was I chose my options for the Innovation Award based on the description, something that made the game feel different from similar games of the genre.
Okay. Yeah.
So on that basis, my runner-up was Wild 9.
Yeah, that's perfectly valid, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. You standard platformer, left to right platformer, everything you'd expect, but the mechanic of, I can't remember what it's called now, the rig, wasn't it?
It's a rig, yeah.
Where you can grab the enemies, slam them about, and hook onto things and swing about. I thought, that's the rig mechanic gives it the little innovation award for me.
I think it works really well as well when you chuck an enemy on some spikes and stuff.
Yeah.
They use it in quite innovative ways. And sometimes you've got to think, how do I get past that bit? I need to find an enemy and things like that. It really makes you sort of think, and it's quite versatile in what it can do. So yeah, definitely, I can definitely see that. My number one pick for this area is Katamari Damacy, just because it's a gameplay type that I've never really seen before, and it's just so well done. Similar reasons to Chibi Robo, really. It's just a game that I haven't really seen much other than its own sequels. I haven't seen anywhere else, really.
Yeah.
And it's such a simple idea as well. You'd think it's such an obvious idea, really, in a way, but it's just it's implemented so well. So yeah, that's my innovation.
That's a good choice. Yeah.
Winner. Yeah.
My one, I don't know if you're going to agree, but again, I was going based on something that differentiated it from similar games and genre.
Yeah.
I went for Dino Crisis.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it is a survival horror game, and it's often described as just being Resident Evil with dinosaurs, but it's got a very different atmosphere to Resident Evil. It's a lot, it's a lot more tense in places. There's a lot more. There's not the relentless barrage of zombies that you would get with, Resident Evil. The zombies were this ever-present threat, and they just sort of bumbled about. With Dino Crisis, you kind of felt more like you were being stalked by the dinosaurs. They felt much more of a threat than the zombies were, and the whole atmosphere of the game, the whole ambiance, was much more threatening. And it just felt to me it felt completely different to Resident Evil. It felt completely different to Silent Hill, which were the two main survival horror games at the time. So I'm going to give it to Dino Crisis for those reasons.
Okay, sounds fair to me. Yeah, cool. Okay. So the sort of the opposite of that award is the Archetype Award, which is a game that sort of fits its genre to a T. Basically, it's a textbook example of its own genre. Do you want to do your runner up for that, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah. Okay. Well, my runner up for that is, I'm afraid. Actually, I'm having second thoughts about it now. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, that's all right. Take your time.
No, I'm going to think about it. What's yours?
All right. Yeah. All right. I'll leave you with it. So my runner up is Costume Quest.
Okay.
I just thought it's quite a simple RPG, but it's a good I think it's a great introductory RPG, is what I would say, to anyone who isn't that au fait with the whole turn-based mechanics and things, because it's really simple, doesn't bog you down with complex stuff. It does get repetitive, but I think the basic formula of it works really well. It does innovate in some nice areas, but I think the RPG nature of it, it's all there in sort of its basic terms, I think. So yeah, that's kind of why I picked it, really, because I thought it was, it did it quite well.
I originally had Knuckles Chaotix as my runner-up,
Okay.
but I don't really like it.
No.
And
I would argue that it's not really that archetypical either.
no,
really, is it?
I was going for I was thinking in terms of like 16-bit platformers, and
Yeah.
but it's really not. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to go with
Okay.
Wild 9 again as my
Yeah,
runner-up.
I think that's a good choice. I think that's a good decision. I think it's much more fits the bill.
Yeah, much more fits the bill for in terms of what fits in with other games in the genre. Because Knuckles
Definitely.
Chaotix doesn't really. It's got the aesthetics of a 16-bit game, and I think that's
Yeah.
what eked me towards it to begin with. But gameplay-wise, it just doesn't hold up.
It's all
really.
over the place.
Yeah.
Really, it has so many different ideas that it couldn't quite put a lid on. Really.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. So I'm
yeah.
going to stick it to Wild 9 again.
Yeah, good choice. Yep, it's a good platformer. It's funny, I didn't think the innovation and the archetype award could be given to the same game.
No,
but,
I know, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's very true to its genre, but it does innovate in a nice way that doesn't kind of make it feel like a completely different game.
yeah.
Yes. So I think I had the same debate when I was looking at this myself, actually.
I did have a debate about Costume Quest. It was on my shortlist, but.
Yeah.
I didn't. It felt too RPG light for me to
Yes.
consider it an RPG. I think
Yeah.
if someone was going to ask me, I want to get into RPGs, give me a game that will, give me an idea of what to expect. I don't know if I could really recommend Costume Quest. I think that it would give a false impression of what RPGs generally are. So I couldn't really put it into, a textbook example of what an RPG is personally. But
Yeah.
I can see the argument for it both ways.
Yes, it's a difficult award actually because there
Yeah.
are a lot of games on this list that aren't really typical of their own genre.
Yeah.
So they might be in some places, but actually it's a kind of a wild bunch really. So I didn't really think about that when I put it together. But
Well, no, but
anyway.
I'm really pleased that we've got so many conflicting things because
Yeah.
I've already lost count in my head of what scored was, so it's going to be a surprise what the overall winner is here. I think I got an idea, but yeah.
It's
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
say
see.
this much: it's a lot closer than it has been in the past 2 years.
Ah, brilliant.
So yeah. So my winner for the archetype is Aladdin on the SNES.
Okay.
I just thought it was a very pure platformer that worked really well for reasons I've already stated. To be honest.
I'm laughing because my one is Aladdin on the Mega Drive.
Oh, okay, yeah. Fair enough.
Just because I went for in terms of a textbook example of its genre, being sort of a side-scrolling platformer, movie tie-in game kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I went with Aladdin on Mega Drive. So
Okay, yeah, but I think
the divisiveness continues.
it does, but I think that's good really because it represents the strengths of both.
Yeah.
They're both applicable to that award. So yeah, definitely good. Right, before we get to the favourite award, we've got the listener award. I put it out on Twitter. One game caught the ear of a particular fan base for the game and got far more votes than the others.
Yes.
So these, similar to our favourite ones, there's a 1 point, a 2 point, and a 3 point available. As it turns out, the second and third place got the same number of votes. So these two games get 1.5 points each.
That's fair.
It's fair. So those two games are Wild 9 and Aladdin on the Mega Drive. So they get 1.5 points each. The winner of 3 points, however, because it caught the ear of the fan base, which is apparently very strong for this game, is Dino Crisis.
Yeah.
It had far more votes than
Yeah, it was a landslide really when they put
it was a
Dino
bit, yeah.
Crisis.
I couldn't control it. It went off. It went viral, as they say. So, but yeah, that's fair enough. It's
I reckon that's a great choice. You have no complaints from me there. I love that game.
Mm-hmm. If you listen to the episode, I don't quite have the same opinion, but we'll leave it there. So it leaves us.
It'd be boring if we agreed on everything.
Oh,
wouldn't
it would. That's why it's led to such an interesting year on podemup, I think.
Yes.
But before we depart, we have the matter of the favourite award, our overall favourite games, and we've got 3 to choose from: 1 point, 2 point, 3 points. Let's do them in that order. So we'll do our 1 points first, then our 2 points and 3 points. So my 1 point goes to GB Robo.
Okay.
I don't really need to describe it anymore. Really, it's been mentioned quite a lot already. Lovely little game. I really liked it. Very, very good. Yep.
My 1 point went to Dino Crisis.
Okay. Yep.
I really enjoyed revisiting it. It's a game that I spent a lot of time with when I was younger, and I think it still holds up. Yeah, dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. Yeah, that's a good selling point. Yeah. So my 2 points go to Aladdin on the Super Nintendo. Really liked it. Really enjoyed the platforming. As I said, it's a very, very good, solid, all-round platformer. If you want a bit of platforming, this is your game. Got my 2 points.
Okay. My 2 points went to Aladdin on the Mega Drive.
This is very interesting. I didn't quite see it going this way.
No, I didn't either. This is good.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you've covered that. I don't think you need to say anything more about that.
No.
Unless you want to. So my 3 points go to... there was no comparison, really. This was my absolute favourite game of this year. It's Katamari Damacy.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Brilliant. Yeah, it's just such a nutty game. I think it ticks so many boxes. The gameplay is amazing. The aesthetics are incredible. It's just such a charming game, and it's so witty and funny and different. And the core gameplay loop is just really, really good and really, really addictive. And it was just one I was hooked on. I wanted to play it every night and finish it because it's just pure fun. You know, gameplay should be about fun, and this is just screams fun. This game.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, it just we just be repeating ourselves, but everything about the game is just unique and enjoyable and lovely, and I love it. It's great, and yeah, 3 points.
3 points. Right, I will tot up the votes. Perhaps you would like to regale the listeners with your rendition of the Me Maker theme while I just do that.
You done yet?
No. I'm halfway through.
Halfway through. Hey. What's the Wii Shop theme? What was that one?
No other console has like such great music for its like
No.
menus, does it?
No, it really doesn't. No.
None of the others have bothered, really.
No, not even the Switch.
No.
You know, you get the as it loads, but that's it. No music.
Yeah, I know, it's funny, isn't it?
Rubbish.
Right, it's interesting. So, there's only one game that got no votes whatsoever. I bet you know what it is.
Knuckles Chaotic.
Yeah. Oh, poor old Knuckles. Yeah. It didn't do the business really in the end.
It didn't.
No, it's an interesting curio, especially for a Sonic fan. But yeah, it didn't really.
It's hard to recommend, really.
It could have got maybe music and graphics. But there were just too many other strong contenders in them.
Yeah, agreed.
So, sorry. With 1 point was Costume Quest. Still a good game.
Still a good game.
Had a few, just didn't. Yeah, it was a little bit repetitive and a bit simple, but lots of charm. With 3 points was Incredible Crisis, which I thought would get more actually.
I was surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, we did really like that, didn't we? And it had its flaws, but there was a lot of charm there and a lot of fun to be had, I think.
With the arguable exception of Knuckles Chaotix, and even then, I say it is arguable. We haven't played any bad games this year. There hasn't been any game that I would say is bad.
No. I mean, to be honest,
it's been a good selection.
Other than our bad games special last year, or even this year, we haven't really generally played many bad games.
I can't say we haven't really.
They've all turned out fairly good, at least.
Yeah, there's always. But that's why that's kind of one of the things I like doing is, even a supposedly bad game, I think there's always a kernel of something good in there that can be found. So.
Definitely. Yeah,
we've
said
cool.
it lots of times. Yeah. So then we've got some ties actually. So let me see. Oh no, hang on a minute. Sorry, before we do that, 3.5 points goes to Wild 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then tied at 6 points each are Jet Set Radio and Dino Crisis.
Okay.
7 points each, Chibi Robo and Aladdin on the Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
With 9.5 points, this is mostly down to you, I think, Mega Drive Aladdin.
Happy to do my part.
But the overall winner, and it is actually quite a margin by the end, it was Katamari Damacy with 17 points.
I thought Katamari. I thought it would be between Katamari and one of the Aladdins. I had a feeling.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it would be between Katamari and Chibi Robo. I thought, judging by when we talked about Chibi Robo, I thought it would end up getting more points from you than it did. I think.
Yeah. So surprising actually. Yeah.
In fact, it didn't get any points from you, did it?
No, I don't think. Oh no, it did. Yeah, it got a character award. Yeah.
Yeah. So that surprised me a little bit. I thought it might go to Katamari Damacy in the end. I knew certainly that's where most of my points were going, and I thought if you thought the same, then
Katamari I think was it's a very podemup game, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yes. So our podemup winner, our overall winner, by quite a fair margin, is Katamari Damacy.
And well deserved.
It's my way.
Right, so the only thing left to do, Tibbs, is work out what we're going to be playing as our first game for 2021.
Okay, do I get the selection or do you?
You do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be switching to a system we haven't touched before.
Ooh, okay.
We're going to be moving to the Commodore Amiga.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
This is interesting. I've literally never ever played a Commodore Amiga game in my life.
We're going to be playing a relative. I would say it's quite obscure. I don't know if many people have heard of it, and I'd like to draw a bit more attention to it.
Okay.
It's a game called Walker.
Walker? I've never heard of it.
Well, there we go. It's a side-scrolly shoot-'em-up adventure-y thing. You play as a little bipedal robot, or a guy in a bipedal robot. Yeah, we'll give it a go. I think I wanted to pick a system we haven't touched before. I wanted,
that's certainly that. Yeah,
we've all sort of gravitated around PlayStation, N64, and the 16-bit consoles, really.
Yes,
So
yes, we do.
I thought start the new year with something completely different. So
yeah, okay, brilliant. I'm going to have to work out how to emulate this now, because this is a completely new territory to me. I know the Amiga's very well got a really good fan base behind it.
Oh
hasn't
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you used to have one. You used to have
yeah,
one, didn't you?
yeah. I had the Amiga 500. The 1200 is probably the one that most people, serious Amiga fans at the time, would have had the 1200, but it was a lot more expensive. It's still expensive now. But yeah, the Amiga 500 is a lovely little workhorse of a computer.
Okay.
Yeah, and if we get on well with it, there's a couple of other little Amiga games I'd like to cover throughout the future shows. But yeah, we'll kick off with that one, and we'll see how we get on.
Yes, definitely. I had intended to get around to the Amiga at some point, but yeah, that's going to be really interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't expecting you to say that. That's for sure.
There we go.
Okay. Looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. So.
Any other business?
Not really. No. If you like us, give us a review on something if you want. You can talk to us. podemup@gmail.com. We're on Twitter @podemup. And I always forget the other one.
Podemup.live?
Podemup.live, that's our little
Yeah.
website. And podemup.twitch, if I do some... No, twitch.tv/podemup.
Yeah, twitch.tv/podemup.
Yeah, if I do any streaming.
I still keep meaning to stream some Astrobot. I will get around to it at some point.
Yeah, that'd be good,
yeah.
Yeah, stick it on Twitter when you do, and I'll hopefully be able to tune in, yeah. Yeah, cool. I think that's kind of everything, really.
I think so.
It's been a crazy year for everyone.
It's been a stinker of a year, absolutely.
I think no one's had a good year this year. Let's be honest. But if we've entertained you at any point in that year, then if we helped you take your mind off things a little bit, then that's really good. That's amazing, actually. So if you want to tell us that'd be brilliant. We'd love to hear it.
I would love to hear that. If our inane jabbers help someone feel better, then
absolutely, that'd be amazing.
That would be amazing.
But yeah, I mean, it's been another great year, really. I love doing this show. I really do.
Yeah, I do as well.
It's because I don't really talk about games with anyone else, to be honest.
No, it's nice to just I mean, it's just good. It's just good to share games with each other, and share sort of retro memories and what the games mean to us, and if other people find that interesting. I particularly love hearing other people tell us their stories as well of what the games mean to them.
Yeah.
Particularly how we've had stories where games have inspired people to get into game development themselves, and influence what careers they choose and things like that. So that's incredible to me.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Nintendo talk about celebrating Mario. We celebrate games.
I think that's our slogan for year 4.
Yeah.
Podemup, we celebrate games.
We celebrate games.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe we're going to our 4th year, to be honest.
I know, that's actually mental, isn't it?
It is nuts. So season 4, as it were. It's right around the corner. I can't really believe it.
Yeah.
But 28 episodes in the can. Yeah. Let's have another 28 more, at least.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, I was going to say a few more than
that.
I'm
going to stop there.
Maybe we'll cover Sonic this year. We haven't done a proper honest to goodness Sonic game yet, no.
Well, do you know what? It's his 30th anniversary next year, of course.
Oh.
I did have a Sonic thing in mind for June.
Good.
It wasn't actually a book club game; it's something else.
Okay.
But I mean, we could do a Sonic game as well. Definitely.
Wow. Let's not plan the year out too soon. Let's see how we get on.
No, but already, I mean, we've talked about Zelda earlier as well. So
we'll definitely do a Zelda at some
kicking
point.
in the ether. So should be a really good year.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So we'll see you there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for tuning in, and have a great Christmas and New Year as much as you can.
Have a safe Christmas.
Have a safe Christmas.
Stay safe out there.
Stay safe, kids. And we'll see you next month then. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.